Hey guys, Jay Games here again. This is going to be what if Mark was a Green Lantern, or what if Invincible was a Green Lantern. This is part 2, since part, 1 got 100 views. So, yeah. Now, we last left off with Mark ready to fight Alan the alien. Now, Mark wasn't too stressed out about going to fight an alien in space, considering that, well, he's only an Omni-Man, and he views Omni-Man as probably the strongest being, aside from himself, so he didn't really care. He flew into space to meet Alan, who attacked him immediately, but Mark easily dodged since Alan kind of moved in slow motion compared to him. In fact, most people moved in slow motion to him. So Mark's pretty easily just dodging him from the attack that Alan launched. As Alan swung and Mark easily dodged, Alan would just speak up first, saying, "Come on, the other guy at least hit me once or twice instead of just dodging the entire time." Mark ended up blocking, as the ring would actually tell Mark that, well, one, Alan's an ally, and two, well, Mark has no point in fighting someone so much weaker than him right now. Mark kind of chuckled, saying he didn't know Alan could speak, but the ring told him about him, and he would like to talk instead of fight. Alan was shocked as Mark took the gauntlet off and shut off the ring, and Alan could tell that Mark was pure of heart because the ring chose him willingly, so they sat down on the moon and talked. So as they talk, Alan basically described what the ring is first. And the ring belonged to a species known as the Daxams. They're peaceful people, but they're too smart for their own good, and they eventually succumb to their own intelligence, hoping to better other worlds with their intelligence by force. Kind of like Viltrumites, but less destruction and more convincing. Like, there's more than one ring out there, but only one of the rings is meant for good. So, yeah. But, yeah. Now, the Viltrumites got word. They ended up sending sick people to their planet, like the sick Viltrumites to their planet, to spread the disease there. And Viltrumites were pretty similar to Daxams, just not as many powers. Because the Daxams were also on their planet, they didn't have their full range of powers, so they were physically weaker than Viltrumites right now. So yeah, because the Viltrumites were sick and not all Daxams could escape in time, the Viltrumite disease spread across the planet rapidly, wiping out the majority of their population. The green rings are the rings of will. Saddam was the last user of it, and, well, I guess he was using an experimental cure for the Viltrumite disease on himself, since he showed signs of sickness, but never spread it, and never affected his work ability. And Alan assumes the reason that he went AWOL all those years ago was him finally kicking the bucket, which it was. The ring is sentient, and it has the knowledge of the most pure-hearted geniuses on Daxam, but also the knowledge of Sodam, the smartest of them all, but also the oldest. And that's kind of why Mark is so intelligent. He has the knowledge of dozens of geniuses stored up in that ring, giving him information at all times. In fact, fusing with his body until he's ready to handle all their power. So yeah. Now, Mark decided to say his piece and mention that I'm partially Viltrumite, my dad is one, but he refuses to tell me the history of the Viltrumites. From what you said, the Viltrumites just seem like parasites who threw their sick away to destroy a planet, and then could go on to do it themselves. And, well, Alan just sighed and knew that Mark was talking about the man he fought previously constantly. And Alan told Mark what Viltrumites truly were like, their conquering nature, their vicious nature as well. And all this did is just confirm, like there's no denying it now. His dad killed the Guardians of the Globe. He already knew it, but he didn't want to believe it. Now it's solidified. He did do it. Actually, he had to have done it. So yeah. Alan flew away. He's saying, "Alright, I'll fight you next time." Mark turned saying, "Oh yeah, you shouldn't. By the way, this is just Earth. Earth. Urath is like the other side of the galaxy." As Mark just vanished. Immediately, Alan looked around, looked at the planet on Urath, then was able to realize that a few continents were missing on Earth. He facepalmed and flew away. When Mark described what Alan was after, they were like, "Oh, damn it, whatever, my bad." Or our bad, I guess. So yeah. Now Mark just going a few days to Amber. One day I'm studying back at his house, but Mark was able to hear Eve fighting. Mark looked at Amber and said, "I'll be right back. I need to use the bathroom." He went to the bathroom, but immediately flew right out the window, and just dashed at top speeds all the way to Mount Rushmore. And it would appear above Dr. Seismic. Invincible would create a massive staple gun, be a staple and cracks the earth shut as Adam Eve blasts Doc Seismic's gloves to pieces. Now, Mark is basically stapling the earth back together, then holding it together as Eve would use some of her powers to put it together herself, while also her siblings would arrive on the scene, using their own bodies to kind of glue it together as Eve and Mark put it together another way. So yeah, so glue, staples, and atoms. So yeah. Also, I'm going to be trying to interchange Mark and Invincible. Mark is going to be for personal moments, Invincible is going to be for heroic moments. So if that throws you for a loop, remember, Invincible is hero time, Mark is human time. So, yeah. Now, Mark came back. He wasn't gone for too long, but you kind of thought it was fun. It was weird that he had to take a shit in the middle of their date. Which you kind of found kind of rude that he wouldn't solve that previously, for some reason. So, yeah. Now, back at the team base, Mark is hanging out with Robot and working on schematics for a cyborg body, or for a robotic body, when Eve would run out of the bathroom sobbing. Mark immediately appeared in front of her, trying to comfort her, wondering what's wrong. But to Mark's shock, Rex would walk out of the bathroom and duplicate them both half naked, or duplicate only wearing a towel, and Rex trying to pull his pants up. Now, Mark is looking at them pretty pissed off, which scares them both, considering that Mark believes himself to be the strongest hero on the planet, which he is, and he has the confidence to back up his confidence backs that statement up, without him even using his powers. So yeah. So Mark walked over to Rex. He was wondering if he'll kill him. No, Mark does not kill too often. In fact, he tries not to. Actually, he tries to avoid it at every waking moment. If he does, it's definitely by accident, or they are too dangerous to let live on Earth. So yeah. But as soon as Mark walked over to Rex and duplicate, he pulls him in and says, "Here's some confidential information for you two. Guardians of the Globe is being remade, and you two are prime candidates. But now, because of my position, you're not allowed to even audition. If I see either of you doing a single fucking crumb of hero work, I will personally ensure that you two are locked in the deepest, darkest prison the government has." Which basically just disables their ability to be heroes. So, yeah. Rex and Duplicate nearly cried, because their only reason for living right now is because they were meant to be heroes, and now they can't be heroes. And Mark kind of took away their only reason to be alive right now. So, yeah. And Rex wanted to just hit Mark with all his might, and if he did, well, he could have. But, his wrist would be bending away it shouldn't bend. So, yeah. Now, Mark brings Eve to Dr. Brandorf's lab with her siblings, and Brandorf and the siblings kind of wanted to turn Rex to mush, but they couldn't. But Mark would basically make new bodies for Robot and the siblings now being fully done. And instead of being siblings, they're more like shells. They're more like titanium shells with like a squishy outside. So yeah. Now basically, due to siblings' physiology, Mark basically made large tubes in the body that begin to operate the body, like kind of like puppets. Instead of wires, it's tubes on the inside. So yeah. Plus, you guys remember Pickle Rick? How he basically just made a homemade version of like a rat mech. Basically, there's parts of the suit that stab into the sibling's flesh, even though they're kind of mushy, and gives them all the feeling sensors. Like, they can hear, they can see, they can think through a robotic brain, they can taste. They're basically given artificial senses. And Robot's given the same thing, but due to him and Mark working on his body together, he basically they're able to transfer his body, or his mind, into the robot body that they made, and kill his original body, because he doesn't need it anymore. He has all the memories and everything. So, yeah. Now, Mark would also basically fuse the siblings' bodies with the tubes to the point where the fleshy outside is basically the same as the original disfigured flesh. Like, it doesn't look the same and act the same, but the movement is very much similar. They can stretch, they can warp, all that. So yeah. Cecil and Robot schedule new Guardians of the Globe tryouts, and Invincible already has his spot, filled as the leader of the team. Now, as it starts, Invincible will give Samson some gauntlets, saying that these should replicate his powers of being super strength, but also they if you put them as a guard, they'll replicate his durability as well. And Samson actually thinks that's pretty cool since his gauntlets he made only replicate the strength. So yeah. And Mark does tell him that if you win, you're gonna be given a head position among me and Robot as the three heads of the Guardians of the Globe. But Mark is more or less a distant leader because how to phrase this? If you were to count him as like a person, he's more like a Robot and Samson would lead the team, but Mark, he's not there all the time. If you need him, he will be there the moment you call his name. But other than that, he's either off in space or in a different country. So, yeah. The team is chosen, but there's no Rexplode or Duplicate. They're just not there. And even on the team, but she has agreed to help Mark from time to time. She's busy training her siblings to like just basic combat so they can be like heroes. But also teach them laws that they don't know. So, yeah. Paul. Now, the Martian mission was rather easy, but they didn't have anything of note to happen since all Mark did was scan the planet, find the sequids, kill the sequids, then tell the humans they can go now, and the humans would go to Mars, and that goes pretty solid. So yeah. The only thing after this that Cecil kind of starts to realize how intelligent Mark really is after seeing Robot's new look. And you can tell that has Mark's work on it because, well, simply put, Robot cannot do that on his own without a genius, and Mark is an obvious genius. So yeah. Cecil basically tells Mark, you're a clever kid. But tell me, did you know what Omni-Man did? And if you did, why didn't you tell me? And Mark kind of just says, yeah, I knew. I just didn't know how to approach it. But I also know that from how we trained, he's likely too strong for the Guardians to even handle. The new ones, I mean. Invincible didn't bring Cecil to his base after that comment, but he did go somewhere. And when he left, he'd show Cecil RC and the new P-15 team, which is 2 new characters. She knows not. It's 2 new names for certain characters. Now, RC is the new name for Robot. It's an abbreviation of his real first and last name, Rudy Connors. Rudy is stupid, and Connors is just a name, but RC is his new name. Only because Rudy thought it was funny that RC thought it was fast. It's funny he's a lot faster now. So RC can like an RC car. So yeah. And he also has a lot more gadgets as well. So, yeah. P-15 is a team made up of Eve and her siblings. The numbers are phases made up by addition, like P1, P2, P3, P4, P5. Addition is P-15. So, yeah. Now, P1, or Adam Eve, or Samantha Eve Wilkins, she has her signature powers. All of her siblings were given powers by Eve and Mark, and Brandyworth derived of Eve's powers, but also a bit more. P2 is Junior, the second oldest, and his name is Elias, but he prefers Junior. Elias is the name of Dr. Brandyworth, so Junior. His powers basically he only changes the forms of materials he touches, very similar to alchemy. Like if he's holding like a hammer, he can turn the hammer from wood and metal to completely all steel, and the hammer in size can also change to like it can be the average size to grow like 10 times a larger hammer size. So it can also increase the durability, the strength, all that. P3 is Brandon. Brandon is Brandyworth, but brand is changed. He can push himself through atoms that pass through attacks, objects, or people. Very similar to just phasing through objects, which it actually is phasing through objects. So, yeah. Only thing is that his body can do it on his body does it off reflex, like a Logia from One Piece. So yeah, his body just has a response to not be hit by aggression, basically. Now, Polly, named after their mom. Julian makes energy constructs, which are weaker than Mark and Eve. Their constructs are weaker than Mark and Eve's constructs, but they're still formidable. Then P5 is Penny. She's the youngest one, and Penny is kind of just a unique name. She can shapeshift or change the material of her skin. Kind of like Kevin Levin, just more powerful. So, yeah. He's still looking about the Team's powers and find out that they're pretty impressive. So, yeah. Mark basically calls them his kind of project. Their bodies and powers are his projects. And he says he made the 14 digits of P15, while he mainly just improved Eve's combat potency. And so that robot's the same, he just looks human with few extra gadgets. But they look human. They should be competent enough to fend off Omni-Man, while I find a way to boot him off the dirt ball if he turns against us. Off this dirt ball if he turns against us, because Mark calls it Earth a dirt ball, because it is. So yeah. But Invincible will go out and find the body of the Immortal, trying to find some way to enhance it. Now Mark just try to hide the fact that Omni-Man killed the previous Guardians in front of his mom, but Damien Darkblood would come back and feed her suspicions of it. Pause. So yeah. Now, while Mark was at school one day, Amber would ask him about him to go to the soup kitchen, but Mark was swamped by having to prepare P15 for Omni-Man, having to prepare a robot for Omni-Man, hiding the truth from his mom so she isn't too like just scared, but also having to run the Guardians. After school, Mark would decide to try to tell Amber's identity, as he would show her he is invincible. But to Mark's shock, she just says, "I know." But to her shock as well, Mark didn't look relieved, happy, or anything of that nature. He looked betrayed. Mark just said, if you knew who I was, why didn't you tell me? This isn't like having a shitty report card and being scared to tell your family. This is jeopardizing everyone I know. And the reason is, she's smart, but not the smartest in the school. If she can put together who Mark is just off his patterns, someone else could have possibly already done that, and is just keeping their mouth shut till they find the right paycheck. What concerns Mark a lot does his mom, his dad, everyone he knows. But Mark yelling at her does stun Amber, and she just says, why are you mad at me? I should be mad at you for not telling me when we first met. But made Mark scoff and just said, Amber, you may not realize the magnitude of my identity, but I do. If you can't understand, then maybe we should break up. Because Mark does basically say his identity is putting everyone he knows in jeopardy, but he also knows too many people to not be a target already. So yeah. But Mark breaks up with Amber. So yeah. Now as Invincible flew around, he would notice Titan. Invincible and Titan have a very similar relationship as Spider-Man and Sandman. Invincible's aware that there's a cause behind Titan's actions, and he does support Titan's reason, not his actions. Invincible will land looking at the paint and say, "What's up, Titan? Also, painting my name out, specifically not red and yellow, and yellow and green, kind of damage your street cred." The Titan laugh a little and say, "Besides my street cred taking a major blow, I need your help. I know I can't be a hero, but I want to at least be a vigilante, so my daughter has a reason to be proud of me to some degree because of my powers. I want to take down Machine Head, but my family is too deep in his debt, and he wants to make me his top commander, but I can't do that. He's holding too much over my head." And he actually would ask Mark for help, and Mark would agree. He says, "Yeah, he can. He'll even get the Guardians to help." Now, when Invincible and Titan arrive, Invincible will let off a signal and just say, "Last 10 minutes. Last that long, and the Guardians would arrive. In the meantime, I'll help you." Now, with this, Mark throws Titan down in the middle of Machine Head's base. Titan's first move is just to deck Isotope right in the face, full force, knocking him out, then throwing Machine Head into a wall as hard as he can, taking him out as well. With this, all the Machine Head's goons would jump Titan, but Titan is already just. Well, he's taken down two guys, only one of them being combative. First one of the villains that, or the main villains that Titan fight is Furnace. He's the giant robot. And him and Furnace basically just wrestle. Titan kind of bend up his body. Now, Mark flies in, grabbing the Tether Tyrant by all of his strings, and flinging him around, slamming into every single villain around. Now with this, Mark notices that Kursk and Magmaniac are too intangible to hit normally. Now, Tether Tyrant is the guy with shit coming out of his stomach. Kursk is the guy made of electricity, and Magmaniac is the guy made of magma. Mark would immediately trap them within a bubble of his from his lantern ring, and Mark would try to fight everyone else in there, like Tether Tyrant and Battle Beast with one hand. At this point, I'll be honest, Mark is probably as strong as Thrag is, but Mark is also preoccupied trying to concentrate on holding the bubble, but also trying to ensure he doesn't die, but also trying to keep an eye on Titan and Machine Head and Isotope. So, yeah. So with this, Mark's very much preoccupied and not 100% in the fight with one arm. But he's able to hold up for 10 minutes, and he kind of just laughs. When the Guardians arrive, he says, "About damn time. I actually feel tired for once." He's not tired. His arm kind of just hurts. That's about it. Everything else about him is good. His one arm hurts. That's about it. Because he used that same one arm for offense and defense for 10 minutes straight. He begins with Samson grabbing Battle Beast and throwing him into the wall as hard as he can, using modified gauntlets that now coat his fists in electricity. Invincible compresses his sphere, slamming it down through every story of the building, as he would just disperse it. Kursk and Magmaniac accidentally taking each other out due to them both being worried. Like, oh, electricity, magma, try to just break out of the bubble. No, they burn and shock each other. So, yeah. Invincible flew and tackled Battle Beast, telling everyone he'll take care of this guy. Everyone else needs to focus on everyone in the building. And Robot looks at Mark, and Mark tells him, focus on Magmaniac and Kursk, since they'd be your main opponents, but still, try to make sure that Furnace and Tether Tyrant isn't doing too much damage. Mark flies Battle Beast straight to the surface of the sun. Since Battle Beast, I'm pretty sure, is some form of longevity. But Mark and Battle Beast actually just swap hands for a bit on the surface of the sun, and with Battle Beast kind of floating, and Mark just straight up flying. But with how fast Mark did bring Battle Beast there, Battle Beast kind of had some of his skin peeled off, so he's a lot more sensitive, which did actually allow Mark to beat him and knock him out. But he just doesn't kill him, he just throws him onto a nearby planet, which did actually knock out Battle Beast pretty badly. Like, the wind knock out of him, his skin peeled away, he's pretty badly burned, all that. So, yeah. But that is, well, Mark kind of leaves him there so he can escape later on. Now with this, the battle's over, and, well, Mark had seen his dad watching it from a distance because he saw a giant like stream of clouds separated, obviously by speed. And it wasn't a jet, he would have heard it. So he assumes his dad was just watching. Which should kind of annoy him that his dad wouldn't help. But Mark ends up landing, seeing that everyone was fine, and Kursk and Magmaniac were already defeated again by Robot. But also, Tether Tyrant and Furnace were pretty easily taken down. Isotope and Machine Head were just down for the count, since they were both just thrown around by Titan pretty heavily. Now, when the Machine Head just tried to wake up, Mark just grabbed his head and tore the front half of it off, pulling out the chip for his body. And Mark kind of just puts it in his gauntlet. With this, Isotope just tried to teleport away, but he just kicked in the chest, almost having it caved in. But he just passes out, being taken for interrogation by Cecil. And with this, as soon as everyone leaves, Mark sits down on Machine Head's desk, and him and Titan talk. Titan does mention he wants to take over the business. This the Machine Head was running, but he wants to use it as more like a vigilante corporation. And Mark does tell him that he will allow it if he can keep a close eye on him. And he said he'll even drop by just to see how he's doing. And Titan agrees to that, as long as Mark knows he's not involved in crime. And Titan doesn't think that's okay. With this, Mark ends up leaving, trusting Titan. So, yeah. Well, with this is where part 2 ends. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe for more. Adios.